Okay. Hello, guys. I want to talk about The Mask. Not the movie itself, but the series. Most people like the series. Well, technically, there's a comic book, the movie, and the animated series that was inspired by the movie. Um, which does take homage from, take liberties to the comic book also. So the animated series of The Mask takes basically from the movie and the comic books and puts it in one, um, and does its own thing, obviously. But I love the False Mask movie with Jim Carrey. Obviously, I do have a Mask comic book, but I need to find it. I don't think it's in this house particularly. I think it's my mom's house because I do have some comic books in my mom's place that I haven't brought in here yet. Into my own house. Own house. So I might have to get that. But the comic book is very violent of the mask. It's very fucking fucked up. Stanley Ipkiss is not even a good person. He's an asshole. He is. He's an asshole. He even dies, to be quite honest with you. And you know, you'd be like, what the fuck? And it's kind of fucked in a way. When I first found that, I was kind of upset because I didn't want Stanley Ipkiss to be like an asshole or bad guy or him being killed off. But that's what happened in the comic book. In a way, the detective guy that was in the live action movie that went to Stanley Ipkiss and stuff like that, he's in the comic book and he's like one of the main characters. Not just the mask himself, but he is the main character also. So I didn't mind him being as the main character. I think he wore the mask too, from what I can remember. I don't have the mask comic books from, but what I've researched along the way when I was researching the comic book. So I think he did wear the mask once, right? So, or a couple of times. But that would be nice to see to see if it, if some actors come back and stuff like that. I don't know what that actor's doing now, but who knows? I'll just say that just because it sounds fun. But we should have a mask. We should have the mask back. I want the people that made the boys show to make the mask movie and make it closer to the comic book. Now, you don't have to if you don't want to. You could literally look at the Jim Carrey version and be like, we're going to lean more a little bit on that one. Go ahead. Jim Carrey did say that he's willing to come back to do some of his old movies. That was around 2020, I guess, or 2019. So that is pretty cool. When I heard Jim Carrey wants to do some of his old movies again, I'm all like, make another Mask movie, make another Pet Detective movie, please, before you decided to not do this anymore. You know, and I know some people. I love Jim Carrey in the Sonic movie. I haven't seen Sonic 2 yet, but him in the first Sonic movie was just great. I love him in that movie. Some people are like, "Oh, he's just doing his same old shit," and I'm like, "And oh, you're suspecting an actor that established himself to be like that for him to change already? Look at the other movies that he doesn't do that anyways, and come back and talk to me, all right? Because Jim Carrey doesn't have to play that type of character in these type of movies, but he does. Why? Because he's known by that. You know, if you're watching Jim Carrey, right, and you suspect him to do what he usually does, and you don't get it, what will you feel? Some people might say, "Oh, that's kind of cool, nice and fresh, something different." But there's other people around him that will still complain. You know how people are. Oh, why did Jim Carrey change his stick? I'm like, you are the same people that literally talk shit about him doing the same stick, sorry, over and over again in his movies. Now, the one time he doesn't do it, you want to complain about it? You know, like those are the people that really grinds my gears. Those type of people really grind my gears, man. Because that's a hypocrite move at the end of the day. It is. It's a stupid thinking move. Because at that point, I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know. So my hair's getting messy here. But anyways, I it'd be cool if the people that did made the boys. If you haven't watched the boys show the show, then I think you should. Isn't the boys comic book made from Dark Horse? The same people that made the mask? I have to look that up. I do have my laptop here, but I'm too lazy to look it up right now. But you tell me. Maybe I'll look it up after this too. Because if that's true, if Dark Horse Comics owns the boys comic books, then that would be more incentive for me to be like, okay, yo, people that are making the boys, make the Mask movie, bring Jim Carrey back, you know, and make do a Mask movie, you know, and if you want to, technically pass on the torch so you can make other Mask movies without Jim Carrey, you could do that. Most people are like, I don't want to watch The Mask without Jim Carrey. You do realize in the comic books, I just mentioned before that Stanley Ipkiss dies in the comic book, basically, or he's not the mask. He's not going to wear the mask throughout the whole comic book series. Different people are, because the mask is the character. What they call Big Head. They call him Big Head. Yeah, when he becomes green, when anyone that wears the mask and gets that green face, they call it Big Head. Because anyway, when you look at the comic book, his head is big. But I probably would have called him Green Head. I would have called him that. But I guess Big Head is fine, right? I don't know. Big Head sounds like something you hear in a. I don't know, something you hear in. What's that show that I used to watch when I was a little kid? Big Comfy Couch. Major Bedhead or some shit like that. Like, it reminds me of that. If you remember the show, what is it? Big Comfy Couch. If you remember that show as a kid, that's probably a dormant memory that you have there, and you're like, holy shit! You mean that clown chick that does that exercise stuff, and she has a big comfy couch and stuff like that? I'm like, yep, that one. And have you seen her lately? Good God, much like, good God, she's fucking hot. I am dead serious, man. I am dead serious. She is the most. Sorry, but moving on. Sorry for gushing over my childhood crush. But I guess that's one of the reasons why I am the CHUCKY, right? Uh, one of the reasons why I love Harley Quinn. Anyways, um, so I would love for Jim Carrey to come back to do The Mask. If he doesn't, that's fine. If we get new people, like, I would still love for the people that make the boys to do The Mask and make it like in the comic book, a edgy, a graded off, fucked up version of it. Now, it is possible that Jim Carrey doesn't want that if Jim Carrey is part of the project. Like, for example, if Jim Carrey becomes part of the project, right, and people are excited for it, but they make it as violent as it is in the comic book, I don't know if Jim Carrey will want that. Even though in the original movie, it's still violent when you really think about it. It actually is kind of fucked up. Because when Stanley Ipkiss wears the mask in the live action version of the mask is a terrible, terrible person. He takes revenge and stuff like that. And at one point he kind of takes advantage of a woman a little bit. you know? That's why the Cameron Diaz character, like, she kicked him in the balls and he's like, yo, man, that movie is funny. Because he was being a creep to her in that part of the movie. It's just like, when you look at the movie different now, when he's going close to her and shit like that on the bench, and she's like, but have you seen the movie? Oh man, it's almost like that. It's almost like that part in the movie where Stanley Ipkiss's friend, his friend in the bank is like meet when they first meet the main heroine basically, and he just smells her clothes. Cameron Diaz's character, he just smells her clothes. He's like, I'm all, you're like, that holds up, yeah. Good God, man, for real. And the thing is too, if you're gonna have a movie of The Mask and bring Jim Carrey back, and people will switch The Mask because say for example, and the thing is too, here's another thing also. Again, I would love from Jim Carrey to come back as The Mask, yes. But isn't really his story kind of over, Stanley Ipkiss? You know, him having the mask again just kind of defeats the purpose of the original ending of the mask, in my opinion. Now we could just say fuck it, because Look, the reason I say that, fuck it, is because really when you look at cartoons, old-fashioned cartoons, because the mask is kind of like that. The mask is a cartoon character. He's basically Toon Force. He's Popeye and freaking Luffy and Gil 5, you know? Um, but the reason I say that is because his story is over and he had a good ending and he doesn't have to come back. I mean, he can make a cameo and stuff like that. And maybe accidentally the mask just stumbles him to him again and he just puts the mask on again. I can see that more than him just going and find it. What if it just stumbles on him again? It did that before, but him just finding it kind of ruins again the ending of the original movie. So if it kept going to different people and maybe Stanley Ipkiss kept hearing rumors and stuff like that about it, but just ignored it, he'd just be like, "Oh, someone got the mask, I guess," because he probably knew someone would probably grab it anyways, right? If it wasn't that, it was definitely his dog Milo, and I'd throw that shit again. Uh, and who knows? Since in the ending, um, Milo and Stanley Ipkiss' friend trying to grab the mask, he probably still owns it, or maybe his friend still owns it. There's so many possibilities you can do. So many possibilities you can do. And going back, even if you don't have Jim Carrey come back, and if you do, cool. But wouldn't it be awesome too if when it passes on to different characters, they act cartoony? I mean, obviously they're gonna act cartoony because they're wearing the mask. But I'm talking about like, you know how Jim Carrey, Stanley Ipkiss character was just already a goofball to begin with, and he loved cartoons to begin with and stuff like that. What if we had characters like that? Like characters are really expressionable with their face and everything like that, like actors I'm talking about. Because there are actors out there that really expression their face and stuff like they are cartoon, basically. That why do you think in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, why do you think they got some of the actors to literally have their eyes like be like, open up your eyes a little bit to look for you to look a little bit animated, anime, basically. So, and the characters look great when they kind of like, when they try to make Ramona Flowers like what they look like in the cover of the book. Mary Elizabeth Winston, she did a great job as Ramona Flowers, literally. When they had a picture of her going like this, basically, and they showed a book of Ramona like that, it was literally so good because she kept the whole like having her eyes open a bit instead of just like normal like this. She had to go like this a bit, you know because the actors understood that these characters that were in a comic book, they're manga basically. Their art style is kind of like Japanese art style in a way, So that's why they did what they did, And I love the actors for that because the actors actually respected the source material. That's one of the reasons why when you hear stuff about the actors that did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, you hear some of them actually were fans of the comic book, especially Michael Cera. It's funny. I don't know if you guys know this, but the guy Edgar Wright, he read the first comic book of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I mean, well, the first Scott Pilgrim comic book. I forgot what it's called. Finest Hour or some shit like that, right? Or something like that. When he read the comic book, the only thing he thought in mind was Michael Cera. But around that time, Superbad was out, but he couldn't hire Michael Cera because he wasn't that age yet of Scott. Scott was like around 22 or 24, and um but Michael Cera wasn't that age yet, you know. So they just waited for him to age up, basically, because they wanted to do it right away, but they knew that Michael Cera was too young, and they wanted Michael Cera. They didn't want no other actor but Michael Cera, and I thought that was pretty dope. The fact that they waited for him to get older for him to do that part because he elected the book too, and he wanted the part so bad, and I can't blame the guy. I can't blame him. When an actor or actress really wants a part like that, the studio needs to understand that hey, maybe it's not a great time to make the movie now. Maybe it's a good time to do it when the person's older. Because in the book, the character's old or just old enough to be like, in their 20s or 30s. So we have to wait for that actor to be aged or something like that. That's just a thing right there. But sorry I went on a tangent there, but it's just something that I wanted to discuss a bit with the mask and stuff like that, with the actors that they could get. Because Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a great example of people being really expressionable, in a movie. And there's a lot of people like that here on YouTube too that are really expressionable. They just come off as like that cartoony character. If you animated them as a cartoon and you saw them in live action, basically, it won't be nothing will be too far off. I was like, oh, that's kind of this and that. No, it will be the exact same thing. That's why the Scott Pilgrim movie worked so well, because if you look at the comic book and you look at the movie, you literally are looking at it and you'd be like, I feel like these characters literally just jumped off right over the page. That's how I felt with the One Piece live action. I was just like, these characters literally just flew off the manga out and flew off the freaking animated TV screens. That's what they look like. I can't think of anybody else but these guys. So it's the same thing with Jim Carrey. Could I see anyone else play the masked character? Oh, of course. I think Ryan Reynolds, I hope I'm saying his name right, the guy that played Deadpool. He will be fucking great as the violent version of the Mask. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. He's basically playing Deadpool at that point, but just the mask. I will pay to see that movie. Make that movie happen, guys. I want it. Hey, if Jim Carrey doesn't come back because the violence and all that stuff, okay, that's fine. I get it. But you can still do it. And like I said before, if Ryan Reynolds is in it, I will watch that shit in the movie theaters. Hell yeah. And I will know that movie's fucking good. Not because he's in it. It's because I know he can do a good job. And I know the people behind it, especially the people that made The Boys, that make this movie, do it. Oh, make the sequel of The Mask, or just not reboot it. Don't reboot it. Just make another movie in the universe of The Mask. That's really it. Most people are like, oh, they kind of did that with Son of the Mask. The least we say that, the better. Can we talk about Son of the Mask real quick, though? To be quite honest with you, I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I know a lot of people don't like that movie. I know some people hate that movie. But is it better than the first one? Hell no. Is it up to par with the first one? Hell no. If it's on, will I watch it? Yeah. That's the thing. That's how I feel with Son of the Mask. If it's on, I watch it. If not, then I'm not going to watch it. You know, sometimes we kind of have those movies sometimes. When something's on, but you don't like it or you just don't care for it, but at the same time you're like, you still watch it. So I can understand for the hate for Son of the Mask, but I'll say this: some of the cartoony stuff between the baby and the dog, I think that should have been the whole movie right there. Yeah, the CGI looks probably not as good as basically the original CGI in the original movie of The Mask. It still holds up. I know some people might be like, "Oh, why does the CGI of the original Mask look so awful? It doesn't hold up anymore." No, it holds up. It does. The reason I say that is because, guys, you're having a character that acts like a cartoon character. So no shit, if he pulls out a baseball bat and it looks cartoonish or bad CGI, maybe they did that on purpose. And maybe it's not even bad CGI. They just made the bat a colorful thing. Or not even colorful, just made it look like cartoonish. I'm not like, you won't complain about that if you see something like that in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool. That will fit in that universe. But I could literally see that happen. That's just me. I know you're hearing stuff in the background. I'm over here like, but, anyways, hopefully one day we do get something of The Mask. If we don't, that's fine. We still got the original with Jim Carrey. We got the comic books, and we got the freaking animated series. I think we're good if we don't have another Mask, movie or anything of The Mask. But what I would love to have it, yes, it is. And is it the right time to do it? To be quite honest, it is. To be quite honest, it is. It is the perfect time now to do another Mask movie. Okay, The Boys is popular. Grab those people that did it. everything that you hear with Guild 5 with Luffy and the One Piece stuff being famous as hell, literally take notes and be like, hey, we could do stuff like this. See what Luffy was doing in the series. I mean, in the live action series, and be like, okay, since he's acting like that, we have a character that's like this, and we can do that too. Competition. That's competition right there. And if it's good competition, guess what? Everyone becomes better. Everyone starts elevating. You never know. If we get a mask, if we get another mask movie, the people that made the One Piece live action show will look at that and be like, oh, you're trying to top up? You trying to top us? Okay, we're gonna top you. That'd be good. The reason I say that is because it's good competition. It's good, like, basically, it's good, like, not butting each other's heads, but it's more like, oh, you could do that. Watch me, I'm gonna do better. And it's like, oh, you think you could do better? I'm doing this. It's fun. It just sounds fun. It does. It competitive rivalries. That was just fun. It's just fun. That's what it is. If you just have fun with it, and that's what's going to be, it's fun. And that's why some people love a lot about this shit. For crying out loud, there's a reason why people get hyped up and get into this stuff, mainly because if the people that are making it are having fun, then you are going to have fun with it too, baby. Hell yeah, man. That's all everyone asked for. That's all what everyone asked for. I haven't watched the new Gran Turismo movie, but I heard great things about that movie. Good things about that movie. And I'm on here like, that's good. A Gran Turismo movie that's based off a video game did pretty good. We having live action anime and live action video game movies that are literally coming great and good. It's freaking amazing. We hit, like, remember what I said in my old videos, we're heading to that new renaissance. It's true. And sooner or later, it's going to happen with gaming. We might not see, we all kind of seeing it. It's just that people want to be butthurt with certain things. And I'm just like, no, it's supposed to happen like that, guys. For things to change, things need to be like that. Sorry. But other than that, I really do hope we do get a Mask movie. Hey, again, like I said, if we don't, we don't. The people that made The Boys, can you like talk to them on Twitter? Because I would love for them to see this video, or at least tell them, hey, guys, can you do a Mask movie with the comic books and shit? So it'd be great. It'd be really, really great. So I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and be safe.